Next topic, new topics, always good. But what we're building on is what we've already sort of learned in the last few weeks about what data is. Okay? Univariate data was the old topic, but the new one now is on bivariate data. Now, I feel like I've said it a few times already before. Do we understand the difference between both? What was univariate data? I don't remember. What did we learn about univariate? Can you tell me at least one graph we used for univariate data? Box plot. Good. What else? Bar charts. Good. What else do we have? Dot plots. Fantastic. Extended. Is it extended? Extended leads. Sorry. And those are all related to univariate data. But now we're moving on to bivariate data. When it comes to univariate data, most of the time, Georgie, what are you working with in univariate data? What kind of data is it? Georgie, what kind of data do we work with in univariate data? Are we working with numbers? What kind of data do we work with in univariate data? Yes, Colin. Categorical and numerical, yeah? Bivariate data is a little bit different. Okay, we don't look at data that way because it's represented in a different way and it's calculated slightly differently. Okay, so for bivariate data, okay, you're working not with just one piece of data but two. But for now, we're going to be just looking at how it works in a sense of in a time series sort of data. So this is one of the types of data that we'll look at now for bivariate. So I want you to set aside everything you learned about univariate. Don't forget it. Just set it aside, and we'll revisit it a little bit later. Okay, but for now, we're learning different types of data with the bivariate, and the first type of data we'll look at is a time series. Okay. A time series. Anyone know, or can anyone tell me what do they think a time series might be? What does it relate to? Yes, Tommy.
A series of data, a sequence of data,
Okay. Shh. Sorry, can you close your book, please, or your laptop, and open your notes? Copy some notes down. So, Tommy just read the notes, which is correct. Okay, it's got something to do with time or data being recorded over a specific length of time. Okay, that's what we're looking at for bivariate data with time series graphs. So our learning intention today, and what I'd like you to get out of this session, is to be able to produce. So I want you to be able to draw a time series graph and analyze it. Okay, draw it and analyze it. So today, by the end of the session, I want you to be able to draw the graph itself. Okay, and then describe the trend. Okay, when we talk about trends, what does the graph look like? Okay, does it look like Sam's head, or does it look like a flat head like Torio's? Okay, no, I'm kidding. And I want you to be able to make a prediction based on the data. All right, so let's look at time series. So go to this page with me, where it's got Mr. Usain Bolt in it. So a time series. Usain Bolt. So a time series graph, like what Tommy mentioned before, is data that's measured over a span of time. So in this example here, you've got a runner. Okay, and one of the things that you can measure over time with the runner is their speed over time. So before I even get into that, there's also other things you can record. There's temperature for each month, okay, or the average temperature for the month, or you can go temperature for the week. Maybe the amount of money that a business might make over a span of a year, so they might record it month by month. Or in this case, as I mentioned, it's the speed of a runner over, and it's recorded every 10 seconds. So Attila and Chris, can you guys tell me, what does this say here? At 5 seconds, what is the person's speed? 5, it says miles per second. Or it should be miles per hour, I think. Chris, what would this mean? At 35, what's the speed?
11.5.
Good. So what interval is it being recorded at? Every what? How many seconds? So it's 5 seconds, then 15 seconds. How much time has elapsed? 10 seconds. So it's being recorded at 10-second intervals. The reason why we need to understand that is it's always recorded at regular intervals, the same intervals. So, for example, if you're a business, or if you want to record the temperature in Australia per month, what does that mean? You're recording it at January, and then February, and then March, April, May. You're not recording at January and then skipping everything and then straight to April. Yeah, it's at regular intervals. All right. So here's what a time series graph normally looks like, and this is how we now differentiate it by univariate data. Notice how we didn't really see this in univariate data. This is bivariate data. Okay, that's what the graphs will technically look like. And you can see here, you're looking at the price of a share over a number of months. Okay, Lizzie, can you tell me roughly what's the price of a share in October, based on that graph? In October, 3. Yeah, it's about 3 because she's seeing it as. All right, I'm looking at October. I can see the dots there, and it's about 3. Okay. What about Steph? Can you tell me at what roughly 1 month is the price at the maximum? Around July. Good. Okay. There might be a couple months here that we've skipped, but I'll say July because there's probably August and September that we skipped there, but that's all right. Sienna, can you tell me where is the lowest? Yeah, somewhere around here. So I would say there. Cool. All right, Kane, can you tell me something here? What direction does the graph go over time? Well, is it going upwards or downwards? Down. Why do you think it's down? Why would you say it's down? It's just going down, yeah. So as time goes by, so as the months go by, you can see that the graph has a decreasing trend. So that's something that we'll talk about later on. But generally speaking, when you look at a graph, the idea of it is you should be able to tell what direction it's going and what you think the future might hold for, or what the future numbers could be. Also, in a graph on the bottom down here is the time. So what other times could we be recording? Does anyone remember what we looked at in the previous slide? So you could be recording the temperature over a number of days. Okay, what else could you be recording? Speed over what? Every what? Seconds, maybe. Every 10 seconds. So the time is what goes down here. So whether it's time in hours, the number of years, or the months, that's what goes here. And then over here is a specific value that you're measuring. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Here's an example that we'll look into. See if we can do. So a milk bar records the amount of ice cream that they sold each month for a period of 6 months. Okay, so it's the 6 months starting from Jan, and their findings are shown below. All right, so first question, there's 4 questions here we need to look at. We need to make a time series for it, and then describe the trend, which month has the highest, and then make a prediction on what the price might be, or how many ice creams might be sold in July. So, for that first graph here, okay, that's what our graph will generally look like. Okay, so when you draw a time series graph, you might have to draw some of them by hand, so just make sure you understand how they work, yeah? Generally, we'll make them for you, but you'll have to draw some by hand. So here, the first step is you have to draw your graph and understand the x and y axis. Remember, on the x axis down here is where the time goes. So whether that's hours, weeks, months, or years, that's what you put. And on the y axis, okay, is where your numbers go for the amounts. Now, you can probably see there, but what do you guys think this little break here means? Anyone know what that means? This little break, what does it mean? What does it represent? Anyone know? What could that represent? Charlotte, do you know what it might represent? Have a think. So, look at my graph. I've gone from 0 straight to 30. What happened here? Why is there a break there? Have a think. And look at it in relation to the intervals. After 30, I've gone 40, 50, 60, and then 70, I'm assuming. But nothing being sold below 30. So what does that mean? Okay, that means I'm skipping everything from 0 all the way to 29. Because I don't need those numbers. I can include a break in there and say, all right. It's just you could say it's a shortcut because you don't need to include 10 and 20 in there. There's no numbers there. So that's why you include a break. And it allows you to start at 30. Yes, Attila? Initially for a time series graph, yes. It is a dot plot. All right, so after you've done your graph, you put your months in the bottom, or the time in the bottom, and then the amounts here. Now we'll plot the points. So for example, the first one here in January, you have 67. So just put a dot on 67, which is, I think, about there. Okay, next one, February, 70. So put a line right on 70. March has 63, so it should be less than 67, so it's about here. April had 57, so that's about here. May also had 57, so they should be in line with one another. And then June had 30. Okay. Now, Attila had a question, is it always a dot plot? Yes, but the next step is with a time series, you must join the dots. Okay, so join the dots now once you've drawn your dots. And the reason being is because, as I asked Kane before, you need to be able to see the trend of what's happening. Okay, that's why we join the dots. Okay, that's our time series graph. It should look something like this. So join the dots once you finish. Try and make it as straight as you can. I can't quite do it properly. All right, so that's the first question, yeah? Drawing a graph isn't that hard. That's all you got to do. Next one is we need to now describe the trend. So when it comes to describing the trend, generally speaking, there's only a couple words that I am looking for. You can write a bunch of things in there, but you need to tell me whether the trend is going upward, or downward. Those are the only really two answers I'm looking for. But you can write some more. So what you could write here, and I might ask, Abby, can you describe the trend for me here? What do you think is happening? Yeah. So remember, we've got two options. It's either going up or down. Overall, it's going downward. Yeah. But can you tell me what happens between January and February? Good. So what you could write is between. So between Jan and Feb, the sales increase. After Feb, okay, and then after Feb, and this is generally what I'm looking for, is there is a overall, and Abby mentioned before, it's going down, so overall downward trend, and I'm going to highlight this. This is what I want to see when you do your answers. Yeah, can you guys see that? Okay, overall downward trend. Okay, so it's either upward or downward. In year 11, this is exactly what they look for. They want you to write down that. You can add other things on top of that too, but this is the main thing that your assessors will look for. The words downward and trend. Or if it's going up, upward and trend. Okay, that's what they want to see. Good, so what if it doesn't? So let's say, for example, thank you for asking, Sam. What if your dots are like all over the shop and they just sort of go in this way? Okay, they just go there, 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 there. You could say there is no trend. Okay, because it's pretty random, there's no trend. But generally speaking, there should be a clear up or down trend. Okay, generally speaking. Some of you need to make sure you write down those exact words here, downward and trend. We need to see that. That's what we're marking you for. Any questions with the trends? Not too hard, yeah? Alright, so next thing it'll ask you is, we've got our graph. We need to now, sometimes the question might ask you, what's the maximum, what's the minimum? So here, which month had the highest number of ice cream sales? Which one is it, guys? February. Alright, easy. And some people might also like to include what the value is. Estevan, can you tell me what are the sales in February based on the graph? 70. So you might just write 70 sales. Bracket 70 sales. Okay? Just to make sure, okay, that you're doing everything correct. Alright, easy. Alright, next question. Last one. Am I moving too quickly or are we all good? This one here, man. Did you put February? When you ask which month had the highest? Does it say which month had the highest? Yeah, so it'll be February. Okay, last one. Shh. I think last question for this question is based on the trend of ice cream sales, and this is where we now need to come up with some predictions with what might happen based on the trend. What do you think might happen in July? Van, can you tell me what do you think based on the trend here? What do you think might happen in July? Do you think it'll go up or do you think it'll go down? What do you think? Good. Why is that? Why do you think it'll go down? It's a downward trend. So we can expect that in July, a downward trend. So what you'd write here, most likely decrease. Okay, and you can, as it is a downward trend, as there is. Now, this isn't technically mathematical, but can I ask you guys, what other reasons do you think it will be a downward trend, or will the sales go down in July? Have a think. Yes, Colin. It's cold, good, because in winter, during Australia, it's July, it's winter time. Not a lot of people are probably going to be buying ice cream then. So some of the textbook questions might ask you that. Yeah, why do you think this and that about the trend? Okay, and you have to provide a reason. I've seen it before in year 11 and year 12. Some of the questions are a bit weird like that, but you got to maybe think a little bit about the question in that way. Okay? Alrighty, quick recap of this topic, or this part of the topic. I'll leave that there if anyone's copying. So remember, guys, what's a time series graph? Anyone want to tell me? Yes, Colin? Stocks? Yeah, well, that's a type of data in time series graph. But what is a time series? So it's data recorded over a period of time. So most likely decrease as there is a downward trend. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So last couple things. I'll read this out. So time series graph helps you record data over a series of time. And it helps you to represent data over time so you can make some sort of prediction and comment on a trend. Yeah, so those are things that you need to remember with your time series. Any questions? Any questions? All right, we're going to get straight into textbook work. And I've put the questions in there for you already. There's a lot in this one. So we're doing these questions for 9F. Okay, so get to it. Nothing too crazy.